Dick Halloran is going to get into a mental battle with Pennywise, but he already knows how to overcome that because of his grandmother. Let me tell you about it. So as we know from this last episode of It Welcome to Derry, it seems that Pennywise has infiltrated Dick's mind, and people believe that this is not Dick Halloran in this moment, it's just it using Dick, so that he can find these pillars that are confining him to Derry so he can destroy them. This is basically confirmed because in the trailer for the next episode, we can hear Dick Halloran saying he got in my head, so yeah, this is it. But Dick Halloran has a trick to overcome this because of his grandmother. Oh, Sydney, how do you know anything about his grandmother? That's never mentioned in It or anywhere. Yeah, well, I've read Dr. Sleep too. So Dick Halloran is introduced to us for the first time in the Stephen King universe in The Shining, and we learn that he shines, which is just a fancy term for saying psychic ability, and that usually is genetic, and the person that Dick Halloran got it from is his grandmother. She's the one that taught him the term The Shining. So in the book The Shining, Dick Halloran actually does not die. So he goes on to be in the book Dr. Sleep, where he actually teaches Danny Torrance a trick. Because after the events of The Shining, Danny Torrance is being plagued by the spirits of the Overlook. They're still haunting him. So Dick teaches him a trick to stop this, which he learned from his grandmother. So in Dr. Sleep, we learn that Dick Halloran's grandmother's name was Rose, and she also had the ability to shine. And Dick says that sometimes the two of them would talk without actually physically speaking. They would be able to speak telepathically. Now, after Dick's grandfather dies, his grandmother finds out that he was actually abusive towards Dick, and he starts to haunt Dick in his death. So his grandmother teaches Dick this trick to lock these bad shines into a mental lockbox in his mind. Now, if you've seen Dr. Sleep, this probably sounds familiar because this is the trick that he teaches to Danny Torrance, and Danny actually uses this trick later on to unleash the spirits of the Overlook and defeat Rose the Hat. So in episode 3, Dick had this vision of his grandmother floating when he was in Pennywise's lair, and he has another vision of her in episode 4 while she's standing in the woods, but this time she says something to him. Specifically, she gives him a warning and she tells him to keep that lid on tight. This is what she's talking about, the trick that she taught him to gain control over his own mind. So even though everybody is assuming that Dick's grandmother that we've seen is It, because It does love to taunt people with their dead relatives, as we have seen this season, but I don't think so. I think that is actually Dick's grandmother giving him a warning and telling him how to defeat Pennywise and keep him out of his mind. And I think this is going to be the key to Dick helping to defeat Pennywise and sending It back to sleep for 27 years.